shouldn't be recording this. I shouldn't even be alive to tell it. But if you're hearing my voice right now, then maybe there's still a chance for you to avoid what I couldn't. The screen is bleeding. My walls no, they're not walls anymore. They're glitching, peeling into layers of pixelated static. Like my entire apartment is just another level. I can hear it whispering through the speakers. My name, my real name, dragged out in a distorted, broken chorus. It knows I'm here. The cursor moves on its own, highlighting options I didn't click. The game keeps opening windows, filling the monitor with my own face, screenshots from my webcam I never turned on. My reflection is smiling, but I'm not. My hands are shaking so badly I can't even shut it down. I tried pulling the plug, but the screen didn't go dark. It just kept running, humming, pulsing like it was alive. You think I'm exaggerating, don't you? You think this is just another horror story, one of those campfire-style creepypastas meant to get a cheap thrill. But listen to me, this isn't entertainment. This isn't fiction. If you search for the game, if you even see it listed in your Steam library, it's already too late. God, I can hear it again, scraping at the door. Not in the game, in my apartment. The handle is rattling like something wants in. No, like it's already here. I tried warning others. I posted on forums. Threads disappeared. Accounts got banned. And every single person who messaged me about it gone. Just gone. Their profiles wiped clean. Their last activity always the same. Game in progress. I don't have much time left. I can feel the walls closing in, the pixels crawling across the floor, turning everything I know into code. Whatever you do, don't look for it. Don't download it. Don't even think about it. The moment you start wondering, it starts listening. And the more you listen to me, the closer it gets to you. You're still here, aren't you? Still listening. Yeah, I thought so. You'll look it up. You'll try to prove me wrong. You'll do what I did, because curiosity always wins. That's how it spreads. That's how it feeds.
I'm sorry.
Static crackles. Voice drops into panic. Oh God, no, no, no. Please don't open the... But I guess I should start at the beginning. You ever have one of those nights where nothing feels quite real? The kind where you're sitting in the glow of your monitor at 2 in the morning, scrolling through Steam's endless ocean of shovelware, wondering how half these games ever got approved? That was me, half bored, half insomniac, clicking through page after page of half-finished horror knockoffs, the kind with names like Granny Basement Survival 3 or Zombie Truck Simulator. I wasn't looking for anything in particular, just wasting time. It's kind of a ritual for me, digging through digital trash, laughing at the broken screenshots and fake reviews, occasionally picking up a weird little indie gem when it's on sale for pocket change. I guess that's how these things always start. Not with a bang, but with a shrug. That night, though, something caught my eye. First, it didn't even look like a game. The title was barely there. Just a string of symbols and letters mashed together, like a typo someone forgot to fix. The thumbnail was worse. A blurry, gray square, no logo, no art, nothing. Steam usually buries games like that, but somehow it was right there on my recommended list, waiting. Curiosity got the better of me. I clicked. The store page was almost empty. No trailer, no description beyond a single line. Play me. The developer's name wasn't a studio, just another random jumble of characters. And the reviews, God, the reviews. There were only 5. The most recent one just said, "It knows me." Another, "Don't finish it." A third had nothing but a spoiler-tagged block of text I didn't dare click. I hovered my mouse over it for a solid minute, heartbeat picking up for reasons I couldn't explain. Something about opening that spoiler felt like crossing a line. The rest of the reviews were either blank or had been deleted. And the price, this is what stuck with me, it wasn't $5 or $4.99 or anything normal. It was exactly $3.33. I laughed at first, thinking it was some edgy little marketing gimmick, but when I checked the purchase history of the developer, there weren't any other games, just this one. I should have closed the page. I should have gone to bed. But instead, I stared at that gray thumbnail at those cryptic reviews and thought, it's just $3. What's the worst that could happen? That's always the question, isn't it? That stupid little voice in the back of your head that says, come on, you're overthinking this. It's just a game. So I clicked add to cart, and that's where everything started. The download was instant. No progress bar, no installation time. 1 second the button said install, the next it said play. That was the first red flag, but at the time I chalked it up to the game being ridiculously small, like some 5-minute Unity experiment. When I clicked play, the screen went black for a full 30 seconds. No logo, no splash screen. Just silence, except for this faint, scratchy hiss in my headphones, like a cassette tape that had been recorded over too many times. Then, without warning, the main menu popped up. It was bare bones. White text on a black background, options for new game and exit. No settings menu, no credits. I laughed a little at how lazy it looked. Steam was full of half-baked horror games made by kids with free software. This was nothing new. So I clicked new game. The first level loaded into what looked like a generic abandoned hallway. Cracked walls, flickering fluorescent lights, the usual horror cliches. My character was just a floating camera, no hands, no body, nothing. The movement was clunky, the textures low-res, like a knockoff of Amnesia or some forgotten Slender clone. I almost quit right there. But then I noticed something odd. The whispers. At first, I thought it was just ambient sound, muffled voices buried under static. But when I turned my character toward the end of the hall, the whispers got louder, clearer, like someone breathing directly into my ear. I couldn't make out the words, but I knew they weren't in English. Or maybe they were, and I just didn't want to recognize them. I pressed forward. A door creaked open on its own. Inside was a room with a single figure, an NPC standing motionless in the corner, head bowed. The model looked half-rendered, like someone had started designing it and then gave up. When I moved closer, its head snapped up so fast my headphones crackled with distortion. And that's when it spoke. Nurin. I froze. I hadn't typed my username anywhere in the game. It wasn't linked in. Indie devs rarely bothered coding Steam API hooks, and yet, there it was spoken in this wet, gurgling voice. My username. My name. I laughed nervously, trying to rationalize. Maybe it was just pulling data from my profile. Maybe it was some weird Easter egg. That had to be it, right? But then the NPC tilted its head and whispered, "You shouldn't be here." I actually took off my headphones at that point, heart pounding. I stared at the screen for a long moment, debating whether to uninstall right then and there. But curiosity, that's a hell of a drug. I put the headphones back on. The NPC didn't move again, just stood there, staring, repeating the phrase every few minutes in that glitching voice. I walked past it, deeper into the level. The rest of the map was mostly empty hallways, looping endlessly, the same textures repeating over and over. It was boring, tedious, even, and then the sound started. At first, it was subtle, a faint tapping, almost rhythmic. I thought it was in the game until I paused, and the sound didn't stop. My stomach dropped. The tapping was coming from my wall. I sat frozen, staring at the monitor, listening as the sound lined up perfectly with the game audio, as if the two were feeding into each other. I unpaused. My character turned a corner. Another NPC was standing there, same half-finished design, but this one's face was stretched, textures smeared like wax. Its mouth moved slowly, horribly, but no sound came out, until, in perfect sync with the real knock on my wall, it whispered, "Still there." I slammed the game shut. My heart was racing, palms slick with sweat. For a long while, I just sat in the glow of the desktop screen, telling myself it was a coincidence, some trick of my imagination, just a bug, just bad coding. But the worst part? I was already planning to play again. When I booted up my PC the next night, the first thing I noticed was that the game had updated. I hadn't touched it since slamming it shut, hadn't even left Steam open, but there it was in the downloads list. Redacted symbols. Update complete. No patch notes. No notifications. Just the quiet fact that something had changed without my permission. When I hovered over the icon, the play button wasn't the only option anymore. A new one had appeared, right beneath it, like it had been waiting. Continue. I swear to you, I never saved a thing. I clicked it anyway. The game didn't start with the hallway this time. No, this time it dropped me somewhere far worse. I was standing in a digital replica of my own bedroom. Everything was there. The bedspread, the scuffed desk, even the cheap lamp with the crooked shade. The only difference was the walls. They were too dark, stained like damp concrete, and the light from the lamp flickered like a dying bulb. It was my room, but drained of warmth, hollowed out. My first thought was, okay, this is impossible. It's pulling assets from somewhere. But from where? I didn't have a webcam running. I hadn't uploaded pictures. And the detail was too sharp, too specific. The scratch on my door from when I moved in, the exact placement of the posters on the wall. I walked my character forward, toward the desk. On the screen within the game was another monitor. And on that monitor was my actual Steam profile, live. I saw the same avatar, the same friend list. That's when the messages started popping up. Dylan, bro, WTF is this? Sarah, why are you online RN? Dylan, stop trolling. Except my friends weren't online. I checked my phone, thumb shaking. No notifications. No pings. They were asleep or busy. The messages weren't real, but they kept appearing in the game one after another, like my friends were trapped inside, typing frantically. And then one message stood out, in text that didn't belong to either of them. You never told anyone about the fire, did you? My breath caught. The fire. The accident from when I was a kid. A secret I hadn't spoken aloud in years. Something buried deep under guilt. No one knew. Not my friends. Not even my family. But the game did. I forced my character to back away from the desk. The room door opened on its own, hinges shrieking. I stepped into a hallway. Only this wasn't my apartment anymore. It was a warped version of my old elementary school, the one that had burned down when I was 9. Except the fire damage was fresh. Walls charred black, ceilings dripping soot, and scattered through the corridors were NPCs. Half-formed children, their faces melted, their voices overlapping in wet, broken loops. One of them crawled toward me, dragging a limb that bent the wrong way. Its mouth opened too wide, and it croaked in a sing-song voice. Why didn't you save us? I ripped off my headphones, nausea washing over me. But the sound didn't stop. It was faint, muffled now, but still there, whispers coming from my speakers even though the game was paused. I told myself to shut it down, to uninstall right then, but my hand wouldn't move. My eyes stayed locked on the screen as the NPCs gathered, twitching, surrounding my character. And then one of them, taller than the rest, stepped forward. Its face was smeared static, impossible to make out. But when it spoke, the words were perfectly clear. "Check your front door." I froze. My apartment was dead silent. The game sat paused, but those 4 words echoed in my head, heavy and sharp. And then, from the other side of my actual apartment door, came the sound. A knock. 3 sharp raps, in perfect sync with the whispers from the game. I didn't open the door. Couldn't. I just sat there, heart pounding, listening to the silence after the knock. My character was frozen on screen, surrounded by flickering NPCs, their heads twitching in unnatural rhythms. The game was paused, but I swear I could still hear them breathing through my speakers. I tried to shut it down. Alt F4, Task Manager, even a hard reset, but nothing worked. Every time I forced it closed, the game window blinked back open, sitting there in the middle of my desktop like it owned the place. And then the notifications started. At first, they looked normal, Steam friends popping up in the corner of the screen. Except the names were wrong. Letters scrambled, symbols where there shouldn't be any. And instead of playing Apex or online now, the statuses read things like, observing you, behind you, almost ready. I yanked my Ethernet cable out, heart racing. The notifications didn't stop. My phone buzzed on the desk. A text message from a number I didn't recognize. "Hi, still there?" The same words the NPC had whispered. Another buzz, this time from Dylan's contact. "Bro, why are you in my game list?" I stared at it, confused, and messaged back. "What do you mean?" His reply came instantly. "It says you're playing redacted symbols, but I never bought it. It's on my library now. WTF, dude." Sarah texted 5 minutes later with almost the same thing. "Why did you gift me this creepy game?" I hadn't touched their accounts, but somehow it had spread. I told them not to launch it, not to even hover over the thumbnail. Dylan laughed, thought I was trolling. Sarah didn't reply. Back on my PC, I noticed something new. A folder had appeared on my desktop. No name, just a single blank space where the title should have been. Inside were files named after me. Hundreds of them. Images, mostly screenshots of my apartment from angles that didn't make sense, like someone had been walking around inside while I slept. Some of the pictures weren't even digital, they looked scanned like old photographs. Me at 6 years old. Me at 10. Me standing in front of that school before it burned down. I slammed the folder shut, bile rising in my throat. And then the footsteps started. Slow, deliberate, just beyond the thin wall of my bedroom. I live alone. There shouldn't have been anyone there. But as the sound crept closer, the game window unpaused itself. On screen, my character was back in the hallway of the burn school. An NPC, taller, broader than the others, was walking toward me in perfect sync with the sound of the footsteps in my real apartment. Step for step, closer and closer. I yanked my headphones off, but the sound didn't go away. It was in the room now, echoing from the floorboards. So I clicked New Game. The first level loaded into what looked like a generic abandoned hallway. Cracked walls, flickering fluorescent lights, the usual horror cliches. My character was just a floating camera, no hands, no body, nothing. The movement was clunky, the textures low-res, like a knockoff of Amnesia or some forgotten Slender clone. I almost quit right there, but then I noticed something odd. The whispers, At first, I thought it was just ambient sound, muffled voices buried under static. But when I turned my character toward the end of the hall, the whispers got louder, clearer, like someone breathing directly into my ear. I couldn't make out the words, but I knew they weren't in English. Or maybe they were, and I just didn't want to recognize them. I pressed forward. A door creaked open on its own. Inside was a room with a single figure, an NPC standing motionless in the corner, head bowed. The model looked half-rendered, like someone had started designing it and then gave up. When I moved closer, its head snapped up so fast my headphones crackled with distortion. And that's when it spoke. My phone buzzed again. This time, the message preview was corrupted symbols. When I opened it, the text rearranged itself, letter by letter, until it spelled out, "The update is almost complete." I dropped the phone. On the monitor, the tall NPC stopped walking. It stared directly into the camera, its face still a blur of static. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, its head tilted to the side in that broken, twitching motion. And in the tiniest, sharpest whisper, I heard my own voice. Not the characters, not the games. "Mine," it said, "why don't you open the door?" That was the breaking point. I unplugged everything, the PC, the monitor, even my router, and shoved them all to the floor. The apartment went dark, silent except for my ragged breathing. For the first time in hours, I thought maybe I'd killed it. But when I turned around, the glow of the monitor lit up again. Unplugged, screen alive, and there it was waiting for me. The game menu. Continue. I stopped sleeping. Not by choice, by necessity. Every time I closed my eyes, the whispers started up again. Not in dreams. Not even in that half-conscious state where you're drifting. I mean, right there in the room with me, like someone crouching at my bedside. Always the same time, 3:33 a.m. That first night, I sat up so fast I nearly cracked my skull on the headboard. The monitor was glowing, though I'd left it unplugged. The game was running again, humming like a heartbeat, waiting on the title screen. Continue. The cursor pulsed. I shut my eyes, counted to 10, opened them again. Still there. The glow painted my whole apartment sickly gray. Every shadow stretched long and trembling like it was breathing. That's when I realized it wasn't about the game anymore. Something had followed me out. I tried to fight back, deleted everything, local files, registry entries, wiped the hard drive clean. Hell, I even bought a new SSD, thinking maybe if I starved it of space it would die. For a few hours, it seemed like it worked. Fresh install, clean system. But when I booted up again, the desktop background wasn't Windows Blue. It was a photo of me, sitting at my desk, from an angle I couldn't place. And in the corner, tucked deep in the shadows behind my chair, there was someone else. Someone taller. I called Dylan. He didn't answer, just rang and rang until voicemail picked up. But halfway through leaving a message, I heard his voice cut through mine. Not through the phone, through the walls. It was muffled, strained, like someone trapped in another room. "Don't play it," he kept repeating. "Don't play it, don't." Then the line cut. I texted Sarah, begging for a reply. Hours later, one came through too late. It's already inside. She never responded again. Their Steam profiles vanished the next morning. Not deactivated, not deleted, just gone, like they'd never existed. My paranoia spiked. I started covering mirrors with sheets because every time I passed one, the reflection lagged behind a little too long. Once, it even smiled when I didn't. The air in the apartment felt thick, like walking underwater. Objects shifted when I wasn't looking. My keys ended up in the freezer. My toothbrush was laid across the keyboard one morning, sticky with black residue. And the worst part? The sound of footsteps never left. No matter how loud I blasted music, how tightly I pressed my hands to my ears, I could still hear them pacing in the hall, always stopping just outside the door. I thought about leaving, just walking out, driving until the gas ran dry. But some part of me knew it wouldn't matter. The thing wasn't in the apartment. It was in me. My phone confirmed it. One night, I accidentally flipped to the front-facing camera while fumbling in the dark. For a split second, I saw myself on the screen, and standing right behind me, a figure so tall it had to crouch to fit in frame. No features, no face, just static where its head should have been. When I spun around, nothing, just empty air. But the photo saved. And when I checked the gallery, every image on my phone, vacations, birthday dinners, selfies, had changed. The figure was in all of them, always in the background, closer each time. I smashed the phone, shattered the screen into glittering shards. Thought maybe that would help. But when I turned back to the PC, the game had booted on its own again. Except now, the title screen was gone. Instead, it was showing a video of me, sitting right where I was, at that exact moment, staring at the monitor in disbelief. Perfect mirror, only a few seconds delayed. I raised my hand. On screen, my reflection raised theirs, but slower. And just as the frames synced back up, another hand, long, pale, claw-like, landed on my shoulder in the video. I felt the pressure a heartbeat later. That was the moment I knew there was no going back. No uninstaging, no running. I'd been marked from the second I hit add to cart, maybe even before, because when I went digging deeper, combing through every hidden file the thing had left on my machine, I found something that froze my blood, a folder dated years before I ever downloaded the game. Inside, photos of me as a kid, my school, my old bedroom, screenshots of computers I didn't even own back then. It had always been there, waiting. By then, I wasn't thinking straight, sleep-deprived, half-mad, twitching at every sound. But one thought kept me anchored. I had to end it, somehow. So I opened the game one last time, not to play, not to finish it, but to confront whatever had crawled through the code into my life. The menu loaded. Continue? I clicked yes. When I clicked yes, the room exploded into pixels. My apartment, the walls, the floor, even the ceiling. It all melted away, dissolving into a thick, gray fog that smelled faintly of burnt circuits. My keyboard floated in midair. The monitor hovered too, and through it I could see myself. Not me exactly, a distorted version. Every movement delayed by a fraction of a second, twitching unnaturally. And behind it, emerging from the flickering gray haze, was the developer. Or what I had come to know as the developer. It was humanoid, yes, but every part of it glitched. Arms stretching too long, fingers splitting and folding in impossible ways. Its head flickered between a dozen faces in a single second. None of them fully human, all of them whispering. And it wasn't just the visual distortion, it felt alive. It knew me, it knew everything. You've been feeding me, it said, voice a chorus of mine, yours, everyone who ever dared play. Every click, every scream, every post about me. It made me stronger. And now you've brought them here. I tried to back up, but the floor beneath me wasn't solid. It rippled like water. Each step I took made the pixels ripple farther, swallowing the edges of the room. What do you want? I shouted. My voice sounded small, weak, like it belonged to a child, not me. The developer tilted its head, and the glitching faces synchronized for a brief moment, staring at me as if through 1,000 eyes. Your account, it hissed. Your identity, your Steam login. I will spread through every library, every feed. Through them, through you. All you have to do is give it willingly. I shook my head. Never. I'll delete it. I'll destroy it all. Do you think that will stop me? It moved closer. Each step left the ground beneath me cracking, pixels collapsing into void. Every deletion, every reset, every attempt you made, it only strengthened me. You cannot erase me, but if you comply, I will spare you temporarily. Your friends, your neighbors, your world. I felt bile rise. My mind spun, logic collapsing. There was no safe choice. If I surrendered, I became a vector, a carrier, just like Dylan and Sarah. If I fought, I risked whatever this thing had been building inside me since the first click. I tried to reach for the monitor, to smash it again, but it floated out of reach. The developer laughed. If a glitching, distorted mass of code and broken faces could even laugh. And in that sound, I could hear every scream from the past hours, days, years. Do it, it demanded. Give me access. Give me the key to everything. Your curiosity brought you here. Your curiosity is your weakness. And now, everyone will pay unless you decide. I swallowed, trembling. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could almost feel the weight of 1,000,000 unknown lives pressing against me. And then, through the fog, it leaned forward, and its mouth, if you could call it a mouth, split across its head in a jagged line and whispered, "Look outside. Do you see them?" I turned, and through the pixel mist, figures emerged. My friends, my family, strangers I had passed on the street, each one mirrored by a corrupted NPC, eyes blank, lips moving silently. All of them waiting, watching, already inside the network. I realized then, the choice wasn't just mine. The choice had never been mine. But the entity paused. Its glitching eyes focused on me. You have until the timer ends. Choose, resist, and be erased. Comply, and become the vessel. I shook my head. Never. I'll delete it. I'll destroy it all. Do you think that will stop me? It moved closer. Each step left the ground beneath me cracking, pixels collapsing into void. Every deletion, every reset, every attempt you made, it only strengthened me. You cannot erase me, but if you comply, I will spare you temporarily. Your friends, your neighbors, your world. I felt bile rise. My mind spun, logic collapsing. There was no safe choice. If I surrendered, I became a vector, a carrier, just like Dylan and Sarah. If I fought, I risked whatever this thing had been building inside me since the first click. I tried to reach for the monitor, to smash it again, but it floated out of reach. The developer laughed. If a glitching, distorted mass of code and broken faces could even laugh. And in that sound, I could hear every scream from the past hours, days, years. Do it, it demanded. Give me access. Give me the key to everything. Your curiosity brought you here. Your curiosity is your weakness. And now, everyone will pay unless you decide. I swallowed, trembling. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could almost feel the weight of 1,000,000 unknown lives pressing against me. And then, through the fog, it leaned forward, and its mouth, if you could call it a mouth, split across its head in a jagged line and whispered, "Look outside. Do you see them?" I turned, and through the pixel mist, figures emerged. My friends, my family, strangers I had passed on the street, each one mirrored by a corrupted NPC, eyes blank, lips moving silently. All of them waiting, watching, already inside the network. I realized then, the choice wasn't just mine. The choice had never been mine. But the entity paused, its glitching eyes focused on me. You have until the timer ends. Choose, resist, and be erased. Comply, and become the vessel. The first hint came one morning when I powered on my new desktop. The monitor flickered to life, not with the familiar Windows boot screen, but with static. Thick, gray, trembling like it had a heartbeat of its own. And there, in the corner of the screen, faint but unmistakable, the icon, the game. I froze. It was impossible. I had never installed it, never touched it, and yet the Steam library showed it in my account. Playtime 0 hours, until I hovered over it. The number ticked up, slowly, 001, 002, 003, all by itself. I tried to uninstall it. The option wasn't there. I rebooted. It reappeared. I tried deleting every leftover file on every drive, every folder, every backup, and each time it regenerated, clean, waiting. Sometimes I think it's testing me, measuring my patience, my fear. Every time I leave the room, I half expect the shadows to twitch, to step closer, to form the glitching shapes I once saw in my monitors. I've stopped trying to sleep at night. My friends have drifted away, politely, unnerved by my twitching, my paranoia. I don't blame them. I still see the faint traces of it in reflections, in the corner of my eye. And I know you're wondering what happens if you ever see it too. If it appears in your library, in a forum, a friend's recommendation. If curiosity, that same little voice I ignored so many times, whispers to you. It spreads through attention, through clicks, through stories like mine. By the time you're hearing this, it's already one step ahead, already inside your feed, watching, learning, waiting. I try to live a normal life. I take walks, eat, talk to people. But even in the daylight, the smallest detail sets my nerves on edge. A flicker in a store window, a message notification that isn't there, a shadow in the corner of my vision that disappears when I blink. I can't say it's gone. I can't say it ever will be. All I can do is warn you. If you see it, if you ever see it, don't click play. Don't even hover. Don't follow the curiosity that always wins. Do not look for the cursed game. Stay away. Do not tempt it. Because once it knows you, once it whispers your name, the game isn't just a game anymore. It's a network, presence, predator, and there's no reset button. I tell you this not to scare you, but to save you. And if you're hearing this now, remember this. There are others. Others who didn't listen, who thought they could be clever, who thought it was just a story. And they are gone. I am lucky, or maybe unlucky. I still exist, but I can feel it watching, waiting, keeping tabs on my every keystroke, every reflection. I am never free, so please trust me. If it ever crosses your path, ignore it. Pretend it doesn't exist. Walk away. Because once you play, it begins, and there's no going back.